No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Oh, love. That thing great poets have tried to describe. Many others have sacrificed themselves trying to attain it, but none of them in the end knew what Michael taught us in The Office. It might sound stupid to think that someone watching the early seasons could believe Michael Scott had anything to teach about romantic relationships. And to those people, I just want to say, the stupid ones are them. They should keep watching the series before criticizing the great date Mike. Okay, leaving that aggressiveness aside, we can all agree that he was a total failure at it. But then, what were his mistakes in each of his relationships? Can we learn anything from one of the characters with the most cringe-worthy romantic life of all? To begin with, in the first season, Michael was quite different from how he was in the following seasons. But one thing he already had was his poor interactions when trying something with a woman he was interested in. In Hot Girl, his superficiality comes to the surface, ignoring everything just to impress Katie. Even going so far as compare her to Pam, saying she was an upgraded version of her right in front of Pam, of course. But it would be in the second season where I believe Michael's real romances would start, and to everyone's surprise, it would be with his boss Jen. If there was something that drove women away from Michael, it was his boomer humor that no one understood and his very obvious desperation to be liked. But something I learned as the episodes went on was that even though he might seem like an incompetent boss, which he sometimes was, one of Michael's best qualities was precisely his role as a salesman. So if there was something Jen could be attracted to, it was this, and not his refined sense of humor.
He's back! Okay.
Which is exactly what happened in the episode Decline. Here, Michael uses his best strategies to close a deal, strategies that any business 101 course would teach, like making your tie talk and singing baby back ribs, all of this in Jan's presence. However, this didn't immediately lead to a stable relationship. In the following episodes, it became more than clear that for Jan, it had been an accident, or at least that's how it seemed at first. So while Michael was accepting that maybe nothing was going to happen with Jen, in that same second season, Michael meets his real estate agent, Carol, who, interestingly, is Steve Carell's real-life wife, Nancy Walls. Once again, despite not being known for making good first impressions, in Michael's birthday episode, he shows himself to be friendly with her kids, a trait that, in another context, would land him in jail, but here attracted Carol. This is not surprising, since Michael is shown throughout the series as someone who wants to have a family, a hot chick, and of course, children. So, if Jen was initially attracted to his high competitiveness as a salesman and singing abilities, I believe Carl was drawn to his potential as a good family man. But just as the first impression didn't work well with Jen, the same thing would happen with Carol. The needy and impulsive Michael would emerge in the episode Diwali. He invites Carol to Kelly's celebration, and while talking with Kelly's parents, he gets the brilliant idea that it's the perfect moment to propose to her, leading to a public rejection of Michael. The day could have ended there for him, but the writers thought the episode didn't have enough cringe yet, and near the end, we see a Michael's notable characteristic come to light. His poor reading of situations when communicating, reflected when he talks to Pam and tries to kiss her, just right after being rejected by Carol. But if any sane person would have thought that this was the end of his relationship, Michael clearly didn't think so, thanks again to his poor reading of situations. In the episode A Benihana Christmas, we see a masterclass from Michael on how not to interpret things. First, after being rejected at Diwali, he comes out with the idea to replace the face of Carl's ex-husband in a photo with his own. And to top it off, he invites Carl to Jamaica, only to receive another rejection that finally ends their relationship. Later, alongside Andy, he invites some waitresses from a restaurant to his Christmas party, genuinely believing one of them was his girlfriend, though in reality, he couldn't even distinguish it from the other one. So he had the subtle idea of marking one of them with a marker. In the end, he gives her his bike and realizes that he didn't really love her. And thanks to Jim, he consoles himself by thinking she was just a rebound. Here we see another thing that drove away the woman he wanted to be with. Michael was too impulsive.
They say that when you find true love, you know within the first 24 hours. With Carol, I knew within the first 24 minutes of the second day I met her.
After breaking up with Carol, he starts a relationship with Jen, who explicitly tells him that he's bad for her in every way, but that she needs to follow her instincts. From here, I think Michael should have picked up on the signal that things were not going to turn out the best way. In Cocktails, Jen is clearly embarrassed to be in public with Michael, yet another red flag that Michael should have picked up on. However, it's in Women's Appreciation when, thanks to the Michael Women's Advice Committee that he almost never followed, composed of Pam, Karen and Phyllis, Michael realizes that being with Jen makes him unhappy, and he gathers the courage to break up with her in the most mature way possible, through voicemail. Everything could have ended there, but Michael's weakness played a trick on him. When Jen sees Michael again with her new front enhancement, Michael succumbs to his carnal instincts, and after a thoughtful 5 seconds deliberation gets back together with her. The situation worsens when Jen is fired and moves in with Michael, which is epically represented in one of the best episodes of The Office, Dinner Party. From the start, they try to appear as a good couple, hiding everything behind the word babe. But after a few hours, Jen shows her jealously towards Pam. Michael reveals that due to Jen's indecision about having children, he's undergone 3 vasectomies.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap!
And Jen ends up ruining everything by breaking his plasma TV. Okay, multiple vasectomies are concerning, but breaking the plasma? Now that's a crystal clear red flag that even Michael fortunately was able to detect. The good thing about all of this is that they break up for the second and last time. The bad thing is that in the next episode, Michael seems to have learned nothing, acting superficial again and telling everyone to set him up on a date, using a cherry catalog as a template, which only gets worse when he has a blind date with Pam's landlord.
I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be meeting someone named Michael.
Oh, that's not... Yeah, I'm not...
Michael?
Michael's superficiality is also evident later on when he dates Donna in season 6. Even though he realizes she's married, he decides to stay with her, largely because he finds her attractive. Until, well, the weight of his conscience catches up with him. In the same season, he goes on a few dates with Pam's mom, but the fact that she's much older than Michael eventually drives him away, leading him to a breakup with her, in a scene so painful it almost made me rip my eyes out. But to keep writing this, I had to force myself to watch it again, like Alex Delarge enduring the Ludovico technique. This cringe is largely due to the fact that Michael often doesn't express what he truly wants, as in that dinner, or he doesn't show who he really is. Maybe out of fear of rejection and his desperate need to please others. This to me is proven in Date Mike, where he behaves exactly as he is, without worrying about impressing others, before he realizes he is on a double date with Pam's friend, Julie. Clearly, everything changes when Jim reveals that the outing is actually a date. And that's where the problem lies. When Michael realizes he needs to impress Julie, he transforms into Date Mike, a genius of romance who knows how to juggle and play the guitar with a pool cue, or maybe it was a bass, I'm not sure. The point is, unfortunately, like 99% of the time, Julie failed to recognize Michael's unmatched seduction skills, ruining any chance with her. Many of these mistakes, fortunately for Michael, are almost eliminated when he meets Holly. In their first interaction, I believe the first green flag appears. Holly agrees that Toby is boring.
Not now, Toby, my God.
Jesus.
Get the hell out of here, idiot.
And goes along with his Yoda impression. The compatibility was undeniable, and Jim sums it up very well.
It's because Holly is kind of a major dork.
All the sucker branches can suck off that!
Michael didn't have to pretend to be Date Mike. He was simply himself, even if he gave off the same amount of cringe. With Holly, he could be himself without making her feel embarrassed. This compatibility was the core of their relationship, not just physical appearance like in his past relationships. Moreover, Holly also showed appreciation for Michael, unlike Jen, who seemed to dominate him, and who knows how many more broken plasmas he would have had if he stayed with her, even though they were separated and she was with another man. Once she reunited with Michael in season 7, everything went back to how it was before. Well, after a jealous scene where Michael throws away the Woody that Holly's boyfriend had given her. In the end, Holly decides to stay with Michael for all these reasons, break up with her boyfriend AJ, and start a new family with him. So, Michael had his happy ending, but after watching all these episodes, what can we take from them if we want something like this in our own lives? Well, first, I think it's a good guide of what not to do. Don't misinterpret signals or situations. Don't come across as needy within the first 24 minutes of the second day of meeting someone. Don't base your relationship solely on newly rounded additions. And don't stay with someone if they make you feel miserable or force you to be someone else. On the contrary, choose a person with whom you can be yourself and not a date Mike. But most importantly, don't be with someone who makes you get 3 vasectomies.